Many love reading Chesterton's adventure novels, such as The Man Who Is Thursday, Man Alive, or The Napoleon of Nottingham Hill. And Chesterton himself loved writing these adventure stories. But he himself was not an adventurer. Much too corpulent, he sat at his desk writing about far-off places that he had never been to, imagining heroic deeds that he, unfortunately, would never be able to perform. And he couldn't take his paradoxical advice to find your way home by going around the world and coming up to the back door. Chesterton's close friend and collaborator Hilaire Belloc, however, was not such. He was a writer and an adventurer. He served in the French military, being half English, half French. And after he met his future wife, he pursued her during the course of their courtship. After they'd met on vacation in England, he pursued her to her home in California, traveling across the Wild West, running out of money, working to pay his train fares. And a few years after they got married, he decided that he would go on pilgrimage from his birthplace in France to Rome, and arrived there on the feast of St. Peter and Paul. The path to Rome is the result of that pilgrimage, and I'm pleased to announce that Os Justi Press, run by myself and my dad, have just come out with a new edition of The Path to Rome, with a foreword by Joseph Pierce. The Path to Rome is one of my favorite books. Like I said, Hilaire Belloc was an adventure writer and an adventurer. In addition to walking from his birthplace in France all the way to Rome, he also was a sailor and a mountaineer of great accomplishment. The Path to Rome was Hilaire Belloc's own favorite work, and he had said, "It's the only thing I ever wrote that was any good, and the only thing I wrote for fun." He complained how everything else he wrote was simply to pay the bills. And in his own personal copy of The Path to Rome, there's inscribed many years after its publication, a note of his to that effect. The Path to Rome is a unique book because it has no chapters. Instead, Hilaire Belloc follows a rambunctious flow of thought, almost, as he walks over the French Alps into the Italian valleys, plains, and stopping every few pages to drink some fine wine, to talk with the villagers, to muse on Europe and the faith, or really anything that catches his fancy. It has numerous illustrations that he himself drew in the course of his pilgrimage, which we have reproduced, larger than in the original editions. It's entirely retypeset, and I hope that it will do justice to this great, truly great work of Hilaire Belloc, in which he will speak about 101 things, some of which you might have expected and some of which you certainly won't have, such as devices for ending books. He complains about how difficult it is to begin and end books. On justice in armies, and what does that look like? And he shares his thoughts on French folklore, and he talks about village masses that he goes to, and he complains about architecture, and he has sore knees, and he finds mysterious balm at an apothecary's and rubs the balm on his knees and they never hurt again. And his bottle of wine, well, I won't spoil that part. He also talks about the value of bakers in society and what good and they do and how they are like leaven. And he, especially the part that I love, he talks about the tradition of mankind and ordinary living, how it is impossible to live well as a human being without doing what men have always done, what has always made them sane, such as dancing and shooting and singing and going boating on the water and going to ceremonies of religious significance. Hilaire Belloc's book, The Path to Rome, is a must-read for anyone who's an adventurer, either an armchair one like Chesterton or a real-world one. It's a must-read for Catholics. It's a must-read for anyone interested in the English Catholic literary revival. Really, it's a book for anyone interested in pilgrimage, or just a fun read, plain and simple. Available in hardcover and paperback from our website. I do hope that you will go over to it and check it out.